Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading and take a look at hotspots for the markets today, Tuesday, May 31st. It is the last day of May. I do not know where this year is going. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. What are we going to be talking about this morning? Well, of course, we're going to be talking about energy, namely oil. If you didn't catch the headline news, the EU is looking at doing a partial embargo against Russian oil. We spoke about this last week. They're going to put an embargo against Russian oil, but they're going to allow places where it's coming through pipelines to continue to flow. That was so that Hungary would sign on to the embargo agreement. Well, if you're going to limit supply, what's going to happen to price? It's going to go up. Oil's much higher. We are going to be looking at the charts for oil. We're also going to be taking a look at the US dollar, which has been seeing a bit of strength, a little bit. And then we are looking to start the trading week with the holiday yesterday. We are looking to start the equities trading week in the US. Equities looking to open soft. They're in the red. Just taking a little bit of a pause from last week's run up. Don't know, but we'll take a look at those charts. What I am going to encourage everyone to do, because we're just going to go through those quickly, we're going to go through energy, uh, the dollar, and equities, but there is going to be a full-blown session in just over 3 hours. I'm dropping that link in. If you haven't registered, try to join us in 3 hours and 15 minutes. We'll be doing a full hour blown session. Brian will go through every single market, see where everything opened, and then take a look at what's coming up for the rest of the week. If you haven't registered for it, please register for that. And if you can't attend that, you can certainly, if you're registered, you'll get a copy of the recording. All right, before we jump over to the charts, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. And when you take a look at oil, yeah, we were saying 113 was expensive. Well, here we are. We did get up above 119 per barrel. We're hovering right at that 119 per barrel price now. Uh, so, and we are going to take a look at these charts. I was trying to, I don't know why I had a brain lapse. It's like, when were we this high? Brian was like, yeah, we've been this
This
high. Just
Tuesday, Monday. Because it's Tuesday, Monday.
it was back up at 130. So hey, this is cheap oil. Hey, God. All right, here, Brian. I'm going to flip it over to you, and we can take a quick look at peek at headlines. But then let's get right into those charts, and then have everyone come back, and we can do a full blown session in 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tuesday, Monday. So, I mean, everybody was off on the holiday yesterday. People are still traveling. People are groggy. They haven't had their coffee. So, kind of a weird day. I mean, the rest of the world has been kind of rolling through. And again, the U.S. is lagging for the week. So, as far as kind of the overnight, I mean, right now, the currency market's not really doing too much. It kind of gives us the overall kind of image of what's happening in the market right now. We're seeing some dollar strength coming back into the market as, again, all the headlines are completely right now absorbed with kind of the partial embargo. We talked last week. We mentioned how of the 27 members, 100% had to vote for it, and the landlocked nations were like, "Nope, not doing it. Sorry." And Hungary refused to sign it. So it's an embargo, but not really an embargo. The pipelines are still good. You just can't bring it in by ships. Overall, that's only Russia only get. I'm sorry, the EU only gets 38% of its oil from Russia. So it's not like, I mean, you're not crippling the war machine with 38%. And remember, it's not that nobody's going to take it. Russia just came back and said, fine, we'll just find other people that want, import it elsewhere. So, it's an attempt to cripple, but I mean, right now the demand is extremely high in many places. So we'll see if whether it works or not. But because of that terminology, as Todd pointed out, it's very, very high. So, and that's basically absorbing everything. There is one other headline from 3 hours ago talking about euro area inflation. Inflation is now up to 8.1%, obviously leading with food and energy. Obviously, food is one of those things that we know is going to become even more of a hot button at this point. We haven't even heard I don't think we've heard the worst of that, but food and energy is the two that were driving it, followed by food, alcohol, tobacco. Non-energy industrials were high. So everything across the board. And we know that in July, the European Union is supposed to be raising interest rates, whether it's 0.25, 0.5 is going to be something else that we're looking for. So one of the other things tonight, we have the GDP quarter over quarter for Aussie. It is a little bit lower, right? It is a little bit lower, but again, in the same kind of context of raising interest rates, tomorrow morning, first thing, we do have the Bank of Canada expected to raise 0.5. So could we get some comments today from the EU now that the embargo is done? They can get to kind of the next stage. 0.25, 0.5. If they start talking 0.5, 0.5, because again, everybody is doing 0.5 right now. And again, that's why I'm showing the CAD for tomorrow morning at 10. If they start talking about the 0.5 game, the market hasn't factored it in yet. We should start seeing some of these reversals for the morning.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the things that people always talk about, immediately is the dollar CAD. Right now, the CAD is basically sideways, and you can say, well, wait a second, oil is at 119. What are you talking about? Yeah, the dollar CAD, interestingly enough, is holding pretty firm. And right now, we're seeing dollar strength more or less across the board against all the different pairs. The dollar index is up now 0.75%, so almost 1%, but the top dollar CAD is holding strong. It's RAM versus RAM, and they're both kind of smashing in there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 24 hours. Again, we know that the interest rate change is coming in for CAD. If the U.S. trader comes online and starts really, really, really hammering, the oil, which I think is a high probability today, yeah, I think this one has the ability to continue to drop. So right now, where it is at 126.60 is a very interesting kind of inflection point. It is definitely basing. It's definitely has some problems. If we run the fibs from low to high, you can see that there's some selling occurring up here at 23.6, but that's basically 100 pips away from where we are right now. Can we have 100 pips worth of weakness to get up there before the interest rate? I don't know. It's pretty difficult. So we'll see. I think the dollar is the important one to mention. That really the dollar since Sunday, since it opened, has really just been going straight up. So if we get any type of reversal this morning, again, that would be helpful. But indices wise, I mean, everything is just rolling back down again. I mean, it's just getting, oil prices this weekend clicked into summer gas. Again, we saw all the prices rise, at least locally. We saw all of them go back up. They're back up in the depending on the station and what, how you go on one road and it's one price and you turn right and go down another road, like the prices are completely different. The cheap place near me now is back up into the high 140. I'm sorry, 140s, 440s. If you go down the expensive street, they're all right at 490. The middle grade jumps over up into the fives. And again, that was before the oil prices went from 112, 113 to 119. So,
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Yeah. And it's as we're speaking, oil's even punching up higher as the U.S. trader starts taking a look.
Yeah. So I would expect it to go higher. Like as I said, the U.S. market tends to be the bullish of all the markets. Again, grand scheme of things, I mean, you can see that Russia is the third largest behind the U.S. So now that there's going to be more demand out there for European, importers, the U.S. is the biggest behind Saudi Arabia, and then Russia's the third as far as exporting. Actually, I'm sorry. Russia is the largest exporter, but I'm sorry. Saudi Arabia.
The amount of oil is consumed.
Yeah. They produce. But again, now it's going to put a lot more pressure on the United States and again the companies here. So overall, it's not necessarily the best kind of scenario. Again, obviously there'll be Russian retaliation for it, and again, you can't block the entire world from buying oil. There are countries out there that will absolutely buy the oil, especially if they can get it cheaper than the current market rates are. Again, ES already down 0.7%. I would say that probably targeting the 40.55. Of the headlines, there's not really anything great today. We know that we're still going to raise interest rates. Now we know that their oil prices are going to go higher. With oil prices higher, it's going to change buying habits. It's going to change spending habits. Transportation costs are going to go higher again. So again, keeping that oil high is not necessarily, it's just like raising an interest rate, basically. NQ is in a similar, and it almost looks exactly the same. And again, these are levels from last week that we bounced off of originally. We could use them again. I would say really for me, downside today, I would not be surprised. Really, if we kind of come all the way back here into 12,309. Again, that's the last time we really had any really strong movement, big pushes. There is a little bit of a basing level right here, so maybe we get a little bit of a reprieve. But after that, we kind of have that Harry Potter setup where it's an old area. It was a base. If it comes down and bases in it and breaks through the 12,513, it probably goes lower. YM looks exactly the same. Again, we're right now basing in that same level that we had last week. It was a profit target that based. Now it's basing again. Does this one come down as well? I'd say, yeah, probably 32,500. That's the area where the last base was, and we have this big psychological level down here, 32,500. So Yeah, a lot going on with that one, and then the Russell is kind of holding firm. It looks exactly the same. There's an area of basing right here, which was the profit target. So more or less, man, it's Tuesday for the computer as well. Same thing. It's now basing on the top of it. If it continues to collapse through, again, probably coming down to 1830. So industry wise, doesn't necessarily look great. I hope that I'm wrong today, but typically when it comes back, particularly with the way the gas prices are looking right now, and again with oil, we're already starting to see a bit of a rally. The two areas, and I was trying to get them, I didn't get a chance to bring them over. These are higher time frame levels, and again, these areas are quite large. Oops, I could probably adjust this a little bit for you guys. We're gonna come into like that area there, and this one will come into
I still
there.
can't believe. I mean, we're looking in oil. We're looking at levels up in the 120s, 130s per
Yep.
barrel.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. As soon as they said embargo, I was like, here we go.
Oh, we knew that.
Uh,
Well, yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and you can see the last bit of sellers, and again, I just drew it back there, and it comes up to 119.99. So 120 is going to be a big figure, and I would say watch out for this 120 number as well. When people start seeing it again, it's kind of like, oh my god, is that a high? No, it's not a high. And remember, even the 130 was not a high. Price wise, yes, but actual with inflation and everything else, no, it wasn't. That was still in the last crisis, in the housing bubble when we saw oil go that high, and that's we're kind of back at the same range now, where we're talking about, the last time that it was this high was really kind of where the peak was in the housing bubble, where things started to go to the downside. So don't know if it's going to be the Fed that drives it in a recession. Don't know if it's going to be oil that drives it in a recession. But everything keeps pointing back to that R word.
Yep.
And again, a lot of the big heads think that I mean, all the big talking heads, that's all they're talking about is what the recession will look like, and kind of when
Right.
we're
And
going to
can
get
they
there and what the yeah.
make it soft?
So
Yeah.
so
All right.
what I would do this morning, guys, go to 15-minute chart, go to 15-minute charts, go to those indices, look for pullbacks right beforehand to see if you can get any type of a gauge. But remember, you have to treat this like a Monday morning. You got to see what the overall trend is going to be like. Thus far, the Europeans have really kind of shot to the downside, as rightfully so because of oil. Again, look for some reversals potentially. If people get stopped out one way or the other, look for those Globex traps. And then again, 12 o'clock today, we'll do a full rundown and see where we can get some decent levels now that we have some, we'll have some volume running back through the markets instead of just this kind of overnight nothing. So,
Right. Everyone coming back from the holiday and people digesting.
mm,
All right.
yeah.
With that, that's what we got right now for the Tuesday morning. Really want to encourage everyone to come back in 3 hours. I did drop the link into the chat where we can really get a look at see what the U.S. retail trader thinks and how they're going to react to some of this news. If you got any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Brian and I are also accessible. Our emails are right there. Please feel free to email us. We do answer our own emails. And just a quick little recap on what we're looking at this morning. We know they got the partial embargo. The EU finally came to that agreement. With that, oil prices go higher, certainly putting a little bit of pressure on equities. So we're looking at oil opening higher. We're looking at oil trading higher. We're seeing equities looking to open lower after last week's rally. And we're going to have to wait and see what everyone really thinks about all that once they get into the markets in 30 minutes. Other than that, we will be back in 3 hours. If you can't join us then, Brad and I will be back tomorrow morning. So until we catch you next time, good luck in the markets, everyone.